Welcome to Events of the Week, the news program that looks at stories that we covered this week. To present it, my name is EXILDAH PHIRI. In stories that made news this week, the Advocacy for National Development and Democracy, ANDD, has observed that the depreciation of the kwacha is a distraction to the country's economy, and ANDD wants to see that the Konkola copper mine and Mopani copper mine operates normally. Kuma Investment Limited Zambia has donated ventures worth 30,000 kwacha to the Lusaka City Council. Lusaka Mayor Chilando Chitangala has expressed gratitude to Kuma for this gesture. Greenet Environment Management Organization says it is with a heavy heart that Zambia is witnessing the devastating impacts of cholera. Organization Programs Director Mwambwa Mulobela notes that it is imperative to recognize that the root cause of an outbreak lies in the mismanagement of waste at both household and public space levels.
It is with a heavy heart that we witness the devastating impact of this preventable disease on our communities. The reality is that some disease outbreaks such as cholera can undoubtedly be avoided. It is imperative to recognize that the root cause of such an outbreak lies in the mismanagement of waste at both household and public space levels. The disposal of waste in an unsanitary manner creates breeding grounds for disease vectors and contaminates water sources, leading to the spread of cholera and other waterborne illnesses. We must acknowledge that addressing cholera and similar public health threats is not solely a matter of medical intervention. It is fundamentally about changing the mindset and attitudes of individuals towards waste management. It requires a collective effort to promote responsible waste management practices, emphasizing the importance of proper sanitation and hygiene in our communities.
He adds that 60 years since Zambia got its land from Britain is too long for the country to be affected by cholera. Mr. Mlobela says cholera is disrupting the social and economic activities.
The current cholera outbreak has not only posed significant public health risks, but has also adversely disrupted the socio-economic activities of the country. We cannot allow this to continue 60 years after the independence of our country. It is embarrassing, to say the least. It implies that there is certainly something wrong with us, and from where we stand as Greenet Environmental Management Network, with our current education too. So, as we lament the impact of the current cholera outbreak, we urge all individuals to take a proactive role in waste management.
The opposition Economic Freedom Fighters Party has condemned the failure by the UPND administration to resolve the cholera crisis. Party President Kasonde Mwenda says recent comments attributed by the president urging people to move to villages as a solution to the outbreak of cholera are both retrogressive and a failure to address the current crisis.
The Economic Freedom Fighter strongly condemns President Hakainde Hichilema's complete disconnection from the reality on the ground and his lack of a viable plan to resolve the cholera crisis in Zambia. His recent comments urging people to move to villages and rural areas as a solution to the outbreak are not only retrogressive, but also a failure to address the current crisis. President Hakainde Hichilema's refusal to take responsibility for the lack of his government's adequate preparation and response is deeply concerning. Instead of acknowledging the shortcomings of his administration, he shamelessly blames the citizens of Zambia for poor sanitation. This demonstrates a blatant disregard for the government's responsibility to ensure adequate water and sanitation infrastructure, as well as public sensitization. In times of extraordinary challenges, true leadership rise and demonstrate their ability and acumen to save their citizens.
He states that citizens deserve a leadership that takes responsibility and provides effective solutions rather than shifting blame to citizens on the current cholera crisis.
Unfortunately, President Hichilema is shunning his responsibility as a leader of the nation and failing to fulfill the basic duty of providing essential services to the Zambian people. This is yet another example of his failed leadership and a clear indication of his incapacity to effectively govern our country. The EFF urges President Hakainde Hichilema to immediately acknowledge the gravity of the cholera crisis and take decisive action to address the underlying issues. It is the duty of the government to allocate resources, implement practical solutions, and prioritize the health and well-being of the population. Blaming the citizens for the living conditions is not only insensitive but also demonstrates a lack of leadership and empathy. We call on President Hichilema to reassess his priorities, work with relevant stakeholders, and allocate necessary resources to combat the outbreak effectively. The government must take immediate steps to improve sanitation, provide clean water to communities, and educate the population of preventive measures.
You're watching Events of the Week, the news program that looks at stories that we covered this week. We go on a short break.
Worried of where you can sell your goods and services? Take heart. Advertise on Roots FM Radio Selling Point. Selling Point offers competitive prices in which you can market. What are you waiting for? Advertise your goods and services now and you will never regret. Call the marketing line on 0977 124063, 0955 124063. Roots FM, your only traditional and cultural radio station.
Welcome back. You're still watching Events of the Week. Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, is deeply saddened by the death of former Cabinet Minister Ronnie Shikapwasha. MMD Acting Chief Spokesperson Brendel Philip says Dr. Nevas Mumba served with the late minister and remembers him as a sober-minded gentleman who was committed to his friends, family, party, and government.
As the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, we are deeply saddened by the untimely passing of General Ronnie Shikapwasha, retired. General Shikapwasha is held in high esteem among us for the enormous contribution that he made to the country during the time that he served as our Member of Parliament for Kembe constituency and Cabinet Minister in 3 different portfolios. We have lost in General Shikapwasha a committed public servant who served his party and government with great honor and distinction. We as MMD are deeply saddened by his unfortunate demise. Our party president, Dr. Nevas Sekwila Mumba, who served with him in cabinet, remembers him as a voice of reason and as a very sober-minded gentleman who was committed to his friends, his family, his party, and his country. Dr. Mumba also acknowledges learning so much from General Shikapwasha as they interacted together in cabinet and on various preaching platforms across the country. Dr. Mumba and the MMD family wish to extend deepest condolences to the bereaved family, church, and friends.
A piece of legislation widely spoken about in the country is the Public Order Act. Stakeholders have opposed the way the act is applied in the country by the police. More in this report.
For some time now, the Public Order Act has raised more dust in the country. Some stakeholders are not happy with the way the police are applying the act. Here is Zambia Wake Up Party President Howard Kunda.
Public order, first of all, is very important. We can't, dispute that. But we need to have a government that will be courageous enough to say that the people should be free. The people should, should meet. So long they are not disturbing the peace of the nation. They can be free to hold rallies, free to meet. But this time around, even a press briefing, one has to apply. Even when the law does not state that you have to apply, the law clearly states that you are supposed to just inform the police that you will be having this meeting.
Operation Young Vote OIV Executive Director Ges Nyirenda also aired his views on the application of the Public Order Act by the police.
But also, the Public Order Act is law that we are following now. And the Public Order Act has provisions on how each and every citizen, whether politician or non-politician, should conduct themselves or should behave. So the Public Order Act does not talk about politicians or political parties obtaining a permit, it talks about politicians and whichever citizen from whichever background should only be able to inform the police, to notify the police that they have an undertaking, they have a gathering, they have an assembly, they have a procession, so on.
Public Order Act on the spotlight. Isaac Atkula, Mighty Roots FM News, Lusaka.
The Opposition Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD, says sentiments made by the UPND must not be taken lightly by citizens. FDD Information and Publicity Secretary Cesar Liteta says instructions by the police denying political parties their rights to hold rallies and the intended evoking of S179, as stated by Health Minister Sylvia Masebo, are some of the 2024 Imingalato the UPND are preparing to do this year.
By the UPND's chief government and party spokesperson Cornelius Mwitwa, that Zambians must brace themselves for a new form of Imingalato in 2024 should not be taken lightly, as they are bent on total disregard and abuse of the Republican Constitution. Instructions by the Police Inspector General, Grafel Musamba, denying the opposition political parties their right to hold rallies, and the intended evoking of statutory instrument number 79, as stated by Honorable Silva Masebo, are some of the 2024 Imingalato that Honorable Mwetwa is referring to. Both Kanyama and the entire Lusaka business district are known to having drainage challenges during the rain season, and a lasting solution should have been sought by now, instead of waiting for the rain season to start before seeking a solution to avert the situation.
In our traditional news, a regular caller to the roots of the matter said it will be difficult to determine whether relatives to Miss Mary will stop dying when they return their alleged blood properties of her late parents. Mr. Tembo says Miss Mary's relatives are alleged to die one after another due to the properties they got when Mary's parents died. He says Mary's parents are believed to have been involved in blood rituals to obtain the properties.
Amagazi amayi baja anasiyanda ndominko imene wonse ana following and ponse sinakhala bwino ata mwalira nawo solamuna analoraso malamulo aja nuwauza bana kuti nainenso nikapita mfunika mkachitetera mbamaona chosadziwa mabanja onse aba anangoberapo koma anawauza kuti imvani aya malamulo ya chuma chacho chilitere koma iwo anatengera mphamvu zawo m'manja mwawo ndiyeno tsoka mtsinde chimanga chilinda moto zonse zataona mioyo ya anthu yapita ndipo niyambiri kwambiri kwakuti yambanja naye nasa yatatu yamene siyali mbanja kwa azimonana kwatira wasikana tero inalufunika kukhala phunziro yakuonsa chifukwa maliro onse nizo anawadziwa tero mantinga wauzira aba bantu makolo awo alulira awo akulu awo amene anada administrator nchovuta kuti abwerere kuti akabweze icho chuma chifukwa malamulo aliboikiwa pali awo bana ndiponso anasadziwa.
And Pastor Willie of Liberty Ministries shares his views.
Munga mwechakambikira hapa abamdala ndikanda vaonde vamene zikasikiza family yao muchiona kwanga munga apa palibe solution amene ngavatandizire anti wonse chabe olo vangatendere vangatiyese minkwala kulibe kwamene zikasebenza andesi vase wonse olo vija vintu vyonongeke then apo chingasebenzi.
In entertainment news, fast rising Zambian singer ZJ Salva has released visuals for his song titled Die For You. Born John Zulu in Petauke, ZJ Salva says the song sends a message of love, sacrifice and appreciation for one's partner. Artist Nathan Sakala, aka DJ Nduna, from Mugubudu, says entertainers must come together to help stop the spread of cholera. He said it is saddening to see many people die to a disease that can easily be prevented. Thank you for watching Events of the Week, the news program that brings to you stories that we covered this week. Until next week, my name is EXILDAH PHIRI.
Worried of where you can sell your goods and services? Take heart. Advertise on Route 7 Radio Selling Point. Selling Point offers competitive prices in which you can market. What are you waiting for? Advertise your goods and services now, and you will never regret. Call the marketing line on 0977 124063, 0955 124063. Roots FM, your only traditional and cultural radio station.